Okay, welcome everyone to Being Present with Leonard, episode 6. So I have a very interesting and awakening session for you today. But let's begin with a very short meditation. So just close your eyes. This will just be about 30 seconds, but instantly bring yourself present with your body breathing. It's as if all you need to know in this moment is that your body is breathing. It breathes in, it breathes out. You're present with your body breathing. Your body can only breathe in the present moment. If you're truly present with your body breathing, you'll notice your mind calms down, it slows down, and thoughts stop or slow down. There's more and more space between the thoughts. Or perhaps your mind falls completely silent. You're just present with your body breathing. You can be present with the feeling of your feet touching the floor. You can be present with any sound you hear in this moment. You're just here, present with what is here. Then I can ask you, who is present in this moment? The answer is, I am. That's a declaration from presence, from the awakened dimension of you. You're letting God know that you are here now. Who is here now? I am. That's the awakened you, the I am that you are, the I am presence, pure consciousness, infinite, eternal silence. But to get to that, we have 2 steps of this teaching. Step 1, learning the art of being present. Step 2, slowly and gradually arising in mastery of your mind and ego. So with step 2, there are 4 aspects of step 2. The first is resistance of the ego. The second is who have you become, or denial or judgment of who you've become, trying to change or fix who you've become. The third is repressed feelings, dealing with the feelings repressed within you from the past. The fourth is losing yourself in others. So today we're going to be focusing on the third aspect of step 2, which is dealing with these feelings repressed within you, and these feelings come from the past. So I think we'll begin by talking about how these feelings form within you and how did they get to be repressed within you? What was that all about? So you have to understand that when you came out of your mother's womb, you were a very, very present little being. And you needed those around you, particularly your mother and father, to be very, very present with you. But they were not. It's not their fault. Nobody showed them how to be present. But nevertheless, there were consequences to them not being present. You needed them to be present. You didn't need them to love you or accept you. You needed them to be present with you. Because when they're present, they are love. You don't need them to love you. You just tune into the love that they are. They are acceptance. There's no judgment. They are compassion. They attend to your every need. It would have been wonderful. But that didn't happen. And not only that, your mother and father were really lost in their own dream, lost in their own story, with all their own limiting beliefs and repressed feelings that come from their childhood. So they really couldn't give you what you needed. But nevertheless, it was painful to not have those needs met, to not have your parents truly present with you, to not feel unconditionally loved and accepted, to not be fully attended to. They should have known that the moment you were conceived, let alone born and coming out of the womb, they should have known that it was all about you. They no longer count. It's all about you, at least for the first several years of your life. And then you can form a balance between you and your needs and them and their needs. But initially it was meant to be all about you. But it wasn't. It's not their fault. It's not your fault. But that led to some pretty serious feelings you had to deal with it as a child. And These feelings essentially were the following feelings. These are what I call the primary feelings. There are other feelings associated with these primary feelings, but let's talk about what I consider to be the primary feelings. The first is fear. It's fundamental, it's basic. We all have that potential for fear within us. And at the deepest level, it's the fear of not surviving because you're perceiving no one's really attending to you and present with you in the way you need. So there's a fear of not surviving. There's an inherent fear of dying, which is just arises out of our extreme vulnerability at that very young, tender age. It's also the fear of the unknown. You've come out of the womb and you've entered the unknown. Nobody explained anything to you, so there's that fear of the unknown, the fear of no one being present with you, not taking care of you, not attending to you. So that's that. And it's a need. You need them to take care of you. You need them to be present with you. You need them to hear you, to see you, to attend to your every need. If you wanted to be picked up, they should have been tuned in and picked you up. You have all these needs. If you spoke, you had a need for them to really hear you and listen to you, see you, feel you, sense you, engage with you at the level that you're at, which is presence. That's what you needed. But what happened was you were filled with all these unfulfilled needs. You were left with all these unfulfilled needs, a need to be seen, a need to be heard. Of course, the deepest need is I need you to be present with me. But if I didn't get that, then let's go to the other needs. I need you to see me. I need you to hear me. I need you to attend to me. Then it goes to another level further out. I need you to love me. I need you to accept me. I need you to approve of me. I need you to think I'm worthy. I need to prove to you that I'm good enough. I need to feel good enough. So these are all these needs that gradually arose within you during your childhood. Many of these needs are not being met. So it left you with unfulfilled needs that linger with you for the rest of your life, even if it's an unconscious level. So then we go from need, because your needs were not being met in your childhood, your early childhood. And let's be clear, I'm not blaming anyone, but sometimes with people, not only were the needs not met, but your parents were very dysfunctional or even abusive, which would have made your whole situation and all these feelings arising within you much greater. Very few of us had benign parents who didn't cause any disturbance in our existence. Either through judgment, through expectation, through too much control, through abuse of power, from any kind of abuse. All of these things can happen in childhood. And the parents may not even be aware of it, but you're feeling all these things. The feelings begin as an impression. Then they develop slowly into a feeling associated with a limiting belief that's already forming or formed. And then that's what you're dealing with. So because your needs were not met, you were hurt over and over again. So that next level is hurt, sadness, pain. The pain of not having your needs met, the pain of not feeling loved, the pain of feeling like you're not good enough, you have to prove yourself, the pain of feeling like you don't belong, or even the pain of feeling like you don't really want to be here, there's too much suffering here. So we have all these things hurting us, and hurt, sadness, pain develops within us. And then the next feeling, the feeling that comes next and formed within us next, is anger. Anger is always, this is very important, anger is always a response to hurt. Rather than feel the hurt and the pain of our needs not being met and having to deal with the fear of nobody really being here for us in the way we need, we get angry. It's like Custer's last stand. It's a desperate last stand. If you want to know what it looks like or where it begins, this fear, this getting angry, this reaction to feeling hurt and then getting angry, just watch a child have a tantrum. That's the beginning of it. And so these are the feelings that evolve and gradually develop and gradually arise within us in our childhood. fear, next level up, unfulfilled need, next level up, hurt, sadness, pain, next level up, anger. And of course, associated with anger, there's a bunch of feelings. There's resentment, there's blame, there's rage. All these things are associated with anger, but let's just talk about anger for now. So what happened, that's the way these feelings form within you in the order that I showed you. And to liberate these repressed feelings from within your body, repressed within your body, all from the past, you have to go through a process which I share very clearly in this teaching. How do you liberate these repressed emotions that I'm referring to? Now, first, let's talk about how these feelings got repressed in the first place. Well, it's very simple. All these feelings were too much for a young child to deal with. How does a young child deal with not feeling good enough, or feeling angry or hurt or rejected or judged? How does a young child deal with that? How does a young child deal with the pressure of having to conform to everything the parents want, rather than the parents really inquiring deeply into what you want in any given moment of time? I don't mean you should always get what you want, but they should always have known exactly what you want so they could respond appropriately, and not take from you your inner knowing that you're entitled to have what you want. So the simple truth is these feelings were too much to deal with, and so we began the process of repressing the feelings so we don't have to feel them. And the ego comes in at that point. It's actually the beginning of the ego's journey with you. Its first job upon your behalf is to repress those painful, difficult feelings that occurred some time ago, even if it's a day ago, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. There's still feelings from the past being repressed within you. And at that time that you made that decision to repress your feelings, it was the right decision. It was too much. But now you have to review that decision to repress your feelings. Now it's time to liberate those repressed feelings. Notice I'm not saying get rid of. I'm not saying fix or do therapy to get rid of these feelings. No, the correct word is to liberate the feelings, to allow them to complete their journey through you. You made a decision to repress the feeling when you were a child, and you're still making that unconscious decision. The feelings are still being repressed, which, as I said, was an intelligent decision at the time. Now you have to review that decision. How do you liberate those repressed feelings? How do you allow them to complete their journey through you? Because every feeling you've ever felt had every right to arise within you and exist as itself and express as itself. You interrupted that journey, you repressed it, you blocked that energy from passing through you and delivering its message. So now you're going to have to go through a process of liberating the repressed emotions. What does that mean? Well, you know, with each of those feelings, there are different ways of dealing with it. You deal with anger completely differently, separately, than the way you would deal with hurt, sadness, pain. You deal with hurt, sadness, pain, and anger very differently than the way you deal with your unfulfilled needs that you're still lost in. You still have all these unfulfilled needs repressed within you, but more than likely you're not saying anything about it. It's your secret from the world. You don't want anyone to know how needy you are. You need a hug, you need to be loved, you need to be seen, you need to be accepted. So the way it works is we liberate the feelings in reverse order to how they formed. So first we deal with anger, then we deal with the hurt, sadness, pain, then we deal with the unfulfilled needs, and finally the fear. And you'll discover the fear is that big. It's really not much at all once you get down to the energy, the core of it. So I'll talk to you briefly about anger, which is the most difficult feeling to deal with and to liberate from your body, being repressed within your body. And let me make it very clear. To have anger repressed within your body, or rage, resentment, blame, all these feelings repressed within your body is very literally a poison to your body. It's very, very unhealthy. You need to liberate them, externalize these feelings. I'm not going to go into it in great detail now because it's more complex than I can cover in these short episodes. But I have a very clear and distinct way of working with anger. Basically, I've come to recognize quite a few things about the energy of anger. Number one, anger is always a response to hurt. Number two, anger is completely absurd, ridiculous, outrageous, and it wants to inflict punishment far greater than the crime. You didn't say hello to me when you logged on. You didn't give me a smile. You die. That's anger. I know it sounds ridiculous, but anger wants to kill for the slightest harm. Now, that is so unfair, unreasonable, inappropriate. You're not allowed to do that. You'll finish up in jail if you kill someone because they didn't say hello nicely to you. Now, I'm exaggerating there. That's an exaggeration. But if somebody judges you, maybe you feel hurt, but you don't stay with hurt. You get angry. You want to kill that person for judging you. But you keep it so buried within you that you don't realize the true nature of anger. You just don't want it to come out. Or if you keep it repressed, it comes out inappropriately. So the whole point of anger, the expression of anger, you have to allow anger to express. The fact that anger is arising is of the present moment. You have to be present with it, allowing of it, welcoming of it, allow it expression. But what the anger is about is not of the present moment. The story woven into the anger is from the past. So you have to master the art of allowing anger to express through you. You're this raving lunatic of an angry person, letting all the anger out, blaming, killing, cussing, letting the anger out fully. Let it be all that it wants to be. And the more ridiculous, the better. The more outrageous, the better. And if you start laughing because anger is so outrageous, then you just hit the right note. You just came into right relationship with anger. You've just recognized anger is so ridiculous, so out of proportion, so unnecessary. Much better to stay with the hurt and feel the hurt. So one thing I will say before moving on would be that I'm not in any way suggesting that you would express anger to anyone in person. It has nothing to do with whoever made you angry, absolutely nothing. All that's happened is the person that made you angry triggered the anger repressed within you. So what's really happening is that person who triggered the anger is your best friend. You should be saying thank you because the person that said or did something to make you angry triggered the anger within you, which gives you an opportunity to recognize the source and origin of this anger. Where does it come from? Is it really mother? Is it father? Is it some school teacher? What is it? Where is this really relating to from the past? Because all that's happening is the person today, in today's time, triggered something repressed within you from your past. That's all that's happening. So if somebody says something or does something that hurts your feelings and you get very angry, hand them a little card, like the size of a business card that says, thank you. And they'll look at you and think you're very strange. Why are you thanking me? I just made you angry. Well, no. God sent you to me to trigger the anger repressed within me. Now I'm going to examine, to reflect upon, to look at, or look for, where is this coming from? Did mother say something? Was it judgment from father? Was it, am I angry because I was overly controlled? What is it? Once you connect the dots, things change. You realize, wow, this has got nothing to do with what's happening in the present moment. This is all from the past. And so then you have an opportunity to allow that anger to be all that it wants to be, all that it has a right to be. Let it kill, let it cuss, let it torture, have fun with it, exaggerate, ham it up, and be ridiculous. Now, I don't know how easy it is for you to do that. When we're in a retreat in person, it's very easy and we all love it. We just go for it. We liberate the anger and love it. Now, underneath the anger is hurt, sadness, pain. Okay, that's pretty easy. You cry. Have a good cry, no problem. Then under that, unfulfilled needs. Now, that's a little challenging because most of us have disconnected from what we really need and what we really want. It was taken from us in childhood. Our parents kept insisting that we do what they want, not what we want. They weren't even interested in what we want. Now, I don't want to make this too extreme, but there's definitely truth to this and how it impacts a young child. So we've kind of disconnected from what we need and what we want. So the antidote to that, or the solution for that, is to slowly come back to knowing what you want. But here's the secret. You have to know what you want now, not in the future. What do you want now? For example, are you feeling thirsty? Yes. Okay, then you want a drink of water, or you need a drink of water. Are you feeling hungry? Yes. Okay, you want to eat. It's very simple. You need to eat. Are you feeling lonely? This gets a little more tricky. Yes, you're feeling lonely. Oh, quickly hide in your room so nobody sees you're lonely, or they might judge you. Wrong approach. No, if you're feeling lonely, that's a feeling that's meant to give you a message. The feeling is essentially a message saying, call a friend, go and have some lunch or a cup of tea together. That's all it's saying. So slowly you come back to knowing what you want in the moment, which will then take care of knowing what you want in the bigger framework of your life. What do you really want? Who are you and what do you really want? Who are you and how do you want to express yourself in the world? Who are you and who do you want to be as you express in the world, as you live in the world of time? You don't have to be lost in the dream to live in the world of time. It just means that you're fundamentally present as you live in the world of time, and the dream is not intruding. There's no disturbance coming from the past or the future. You're just here. That's it. You might know that if you're going for a walk, you might know that you're heading to the local park, no problem. But that's not really intruding into your present moment walk as you walk towards the park. It's okay if you know the park is there and you know you're heading that way. It's okay if you remember your home, where you're going back to. There's nothing wrong with that. It's completely benign. But when the dream starts creeping in through the side door, that's when you've got a problem. Now, fear is an illusion anyway. There's really nothing to fear. And what we're really afraid of at the deepest level, I'm just going to go into this very briefly. At the very deepest level, what we're really afraid of is not what we think we're afraid of. We're all terrified of a tiny little point stored somewhere in the body which feels empty. We're afraid of the emptiness, and we spend our lives running from that emptiness, escaping from that feeling of being empty. If you really tune into that feeling of being empty, wherever that's located in your body, there's a point. You can point to it right now, where it is in your body. We've spent our entire lives running from that feeling of being empty, of emptiness, filling ourselves up as much as possible so we don't have to feel the emptiness. And what we don't realize is that emptiness is not emptiness at all. I call it full of nothing, full of nothingness, eternal, silent, perfect, pure nothingness. That is about as the most awakened state you can awaken to. I'm not saying we should aspire towards that, but that's what's possible. As long as you're not looking for it, that's what's possible. And none of us, when we're in the dream, want to go anywhere near that because it feels like lonely, and we don't want lonely. Lonely feels separate. We don't want that. So much of our lives is directed to avoiding that. So that's the basic approach of this teaching to feelings. You must come into right relationship with your feelings. And right relationship with your feelings is only possible from presence. That's just how it is. Now, I do have a couple of questions here, which I will very briefly answer because I don't want to take up too much time. How are we doing? Yeah, not bad. Okay, so this first question is from Lindy. Hi, Leonard. I'm just listening in to who are you when you're present? That was the last episode. When I'm present, I don't feel compassionate or the energy of love, but I do have this unbounded experience of neutrality and being. What say you? Love, Lindy. Okay, well, Lindy, absolutely correct. No problem at all. You know, some people just open up to this overwhelming feeling of love and compassion for everything. It's just a natural, something that arises naturally. But let me tell you what it's arising from. It's arising, that feeling of love is arising from that unbounded experience of neutrality and being. That's what I say. So just relax. The silence, the peace, the perfection of silence, and almost nothingness. You're touching into nothingness there. And it's profoundly peaceful, it's profoundly silent, it's profoundly beautiful. And it's also the truth of who you are. You know, one thing I would say about this energy of nothingness, it doesn't end there. It doesn't end in the nothingness. And if you are seeking nothingness, I can guarantee you won't ever find it. It's not something that you can find by seeking. It's something that might arise simply by being so present, so open, so vulnerable, so available, that it might suddenly open up this extraordinary energy of nothingness. It's just nothing, nothingness, but it feels absolutely amazing. You could call it, if you like, infinite silence, pure consciousness beyond form and beyond content. It's worth meditating on that sentence. At the deepest level, I will tell you who you are. At the deepest level, I will tell you who you are. You are pure consciousness, beyond form and beyond content. You can't think about that, but you can experience it at the deepest levels of presence. You won't be able to say anything about it. It's your experience. Now you know. And then I would conclude with these words. God is everything, and God is nothing or nothingness. And beyond everything and nothing, God is. Thou art, I am. End of dream, end of story, true homecoming. So, Lindy, don't you be concerned. You're absolutely on the right track. You know, sometimes it's difficult to feel the love and the compassion, and I'll tell you why. This is very important. This actually explains what happened to humanity and where we all went astray. And it's this. If you are deeply and profoundly present, and you are the energy of love, you might be the only one who's not aware of that. You look because you're it. And as I said, I think in the last episode, you're in the oneness and one cannot know itself. So you look out and you see love all around you. You see other people are so loving, you can't understand it. Everything is so full of love. The flowers, the trees, people just walking by you. Everyone looks like they're full of love. Now, what is that? What is that all about? It means that you are so full of love, but you're it. And what you're seeing is love that's projecting out all around you. The love is projecting onto everything around you and illuminating it, filling everything around you with love. But you're the only one that can't feel it. Then you look out and say, what's wrong with me? How come I don't feel it? I see all these people are full of love. What happened to me? Where did I go wrong? Then you join them in their unconscious world because it was all your projection. You were awake in love, not them. You were. You illuminated them. You filled with them with love, but it's for you. Now, they might feel it, but it's not being generated from within them. You're the generator because you're that present, that filled with love, but you don't know what it is or who you are. It's very legitimate at the deeper levels of presence. If somebody asks you, who are you? The most honest answer is, I don't know who I am. I just am. I'll give you one more example of what I'm trying to say about love and the experience of love. If a candle is lit, the candle is giving off a glow of light everywhere, but the candle is not aware of any light on itself. It's on everything else. That's the best example I can give of that. Second question. This is from Yvonne from Wiltshire in the UK. Yvonne says, I've recently started practicing being present. Sometimes it makes me feel tired and sometimes I even fall asleep. Just wondering if that is normal. Well, Yvonne, it's normal in one sense, but you have to understand that more than likely that's the ego coming in, making you tired, distracting you, having you even fall asleep as a way of pulling you out of presence. The ego will say, "Oh, this is nothing. This is boring. There's nothing happening," or it can actually put you to sleep, so you don't have to experience presence. So, what I suggest, and this happens sometimes in my groups, my live groups, if somebody says that they're tired, like you just said or suggested, I say no problem. Just repeat rather loudly, "I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired." Say it aloud and say it to a tree or a chair. It doesn't matter what you say it to, or stand in front of a mirror and say it 3 times, but with a certain level of energy. "I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired." I'll guarantee you won't be tired after that. So don't fall for the tricks of the ego. Now, the other thing I'll tell you, Yvonne, is that when you practice presence, you will put yourself to sleep. Presence, what I'm teaching here is not about practice. Meditation is great, it's very valuable. I'm not saying don't meditate, but the whole point of meditation is to bring you present and silent, your mind silent and you're very present. So you could meditate for 28 lifetimes and not get there, or you could just notice your thinking and then instantly now you're present with something that's here. Mission accomplished. Okay, now I'm back in the mind. No problem. I can hang out in the mind, I can think, but at some point, anytime I like, I can say thinking and then back to something that is in the present moment. If I can see it, I can be present with it. I can be very, very present with it. This will bring me out of the mind, out of the past and future. Now I'm present. So it's not about practicing presence. Whenever you're practicing something, the ego has a hidden agenda involved, which is by practicing something, you'll get somewhere in the future. By its very nature, practice implies the future, whereas the present moment is already here. It just requires you to remember that which is already here and bring yourself present with it. Every moment you have a choice. Go with the mind and the thinking, or very gently interrupt that, very gently, no judgment, no rejection, and shift your focus to something that's here in the moment with you. That's my suggestion. And okay, and then the last question number 3, is from Stuart, which was a comment posted on last week's video. I think in last week's video I mentioned that we've been trying to free ourselves from the dream, or we've been lost in the dream for many lifetimes. So Stuart says, many lifetimes, what does this mean? Well, first of all, Stuart, let me say I don't want you to believe one word I say. Just because it's my experience, my reality, something that I've opened to, it doesn't mean that you should, you have to, or that it's essential. But what do I mean by many lifetimes? Well, the simple truth is we are all souls on a journey over many lifetimes. When you leave first of all, there's no death. Death that we believe in is an illusion. Time that we believe in is an illusion. Death is always in the future. It never arrives. It's always in the dream, coming closer, but it never gets here, because if you're present, where is it? If your mind is silent, where is death? Now, even if death is about to take me right now, I'm present. Now I'm dead. Who cares? Present. Now I'm in my next lifetime. Okay, now I'm going to have to create my next lifetime with exactly the same story I missed liberating myself from in the last lifetime. Same story. We keep repeating the same story over and over again, because that's God's compassion giving us another chance to free ourselves from the dream and open into the truth. The truth of love, the truth of oneness, the truth of who you are, the truth of God, and the truth of heaven on earth. It all becomes available as you become more and more deeply present. So we're just repeating lifetime after lifetime. We've probably all lived hundreds of lifetimes. And each time we've been miserable failures. We've been lost in the dream. And each lifetime it gets a little worse. That's God's compassion, making your dream a little worse to give you a chance of awakening from the dream. So that's what I mean by many lifetimes. But it's possible that past lifetimes can awaken spontaneously within you. That's very possible. But it's not something you look for. I never ever tell anyone or suggest to anyone they should do a past life regression. The chances of that being delusional are very high. But if, when I'm working with someone about some issue that arises in this lifetime, based in this lifetime, particularly from childhood, you can almost bet your bottom dollar whatever you're dealing with in this lifetime is connected to the soul and the soul's journey and the story that the soul is lost in, and also some previous lifetime where this issue was first arose. So sometimes in this teaching, mostly we do all the healing in this teaching is around our childhood, but occasionally it becomes clear to me that we have to go back further to complete a healing. It's usually very obvious to me. So, okay. So we're coming to the end of our meeting. I hope I haven't given you too much information. You can always watch the replay. The replay will be available probably tomorrow. I'm not sure when, but very soon. So I hope you all enjoyed it. And don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. And if you subscribe, you'll be notified whenever something's on from Leonard Jacobson Teachings. And post a comment. I want you all to know that I do read your comments, and I really enjoy reading your comments. It really helps me connect with you because I can't see you, but I like to know you're there, and I like to read your comments. So I really appreciate that. And the notification button, etc., etc. You know what to do. Now, the good news is if you do all of that, you help the teaching reach more people. And isn't that the purpose of all of this? Isn't that why I'm doing this in the first place? To reach more and more people, because we really are in need of the awakening of human consciousness. We need people to awaken out of their dream. At the heart of everybody's dream is me, 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 me. And me, me, me. The more it's about me, 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 the greater your suffering. Just be aware of that. Make it not so much about me, me, me. Make it about thou, thou, thou. And when I'm saying thou, I'm including a dog, a tree, an elephant, a human. Even if they're not awake, who cares? You can be kind, you can be caring, you can be considerate, you can be loving, accepting, non-judgmental. Drop your expectations of other people. Just be yourself. Be kind, be loving, be caring, and be yourself. And with a bit of luck in this lifetime and some good guidance, you just might complete the soul's journey in this lifetime. What does that mean? That means a beautiful, ongoing awakening into presence, love, and oneness. That's what it means. Heaven revealed on earth, that's the true completion of your journey from heaven to heaven on earth. Don't miss this opportunity in this lifetime. Okay, so I send blessings to everyone. I'm going to take a look at your notes because I can see there's quite a few notes, so you can all do the same if you want, okay? Well, I guess they'll stay here after I end the meeting. Okay, so I'm now going to end our meeting. Blessings to everyone, and I'll see you next week. Bye.